the shocking betrayal, the message that shattered everything. Welcome to my channel, Crownfire Tales. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Mara Sinclair's hands trembled as she stared at her phone screen. The message was simple, brutal, impossible to ignore. Your husband isn't working late. He's with me. Check the Riverside Hotel, room 304. A friend. Her breath caught. For a moment, the world tilted sideways. The coffee cup in her other hand slipped, crashing against the marble kitchen floor. Brown liquid spread like a stain across her perfect life. The life she'd spent 7 years building with Daniel Sinclair. The man who'd promised her forever on a beach in Santorini, who'd held her through 2 miscarriages, who'd looked into her eyes just this morning and said, "I love you more than yesterday." Mara's chest tightened. Her mind screamed that it was a prank, a mistake, someone's cruel joke. But her gut, that primal, knowing part of her, whispered the truth she'd been ignoring for months. The late nights, the new cologne, the way Daniel's eyes would glaze over during dinner, as if his mind was somewhere else, with someone else. She grabbed her keys with shaking hands. The drive that changed everything. The 20-minute drive to the Riverside Hotel felt like an eternity, compressed into seconds. Mara's knuckles were white against the steering wheel, her mind cycling through 1,000 explanations, 1,000 excuses she could make for Daniel. Maybe he was planning a surprise. Maybe it was a business meeting he didn't want to worry her about. Maybe. She parked crookedly in the hotel lot, not caring. Her heels clicked against the pavement like a countdown to destruction. The lobby was all glass and chrome, too bright, too clean for the darkness crushing her chest. The elevator ride to the 3rd floor was suffocating. She counted the floors. 1, 2, 3. Each number lit up like a warning she refused to heed. Room 304 sat at the end of a long hallway. Mara stood before it, her hand raised to knock, frozen. This was the moment. Once she knocked, once that door opened, everything would change. There would be no going back to the woman who'd made Daniel's favorite lasagna just yesterday, who'd laughed at his terrible jokes, who'd believed in their love with every fiber of her being. She knocked. The door opened. The woman who smiled. The woman standing in the doorway was breathtaking. Red hair cascaded over bare shoulders, emerald eyes glittered with something between triumph and pity. She wore Daniel's shirt, the blue one Mara had given him for his birthday, and nothing else. "You must be Mara," the woman said, her voice smooth as honey, sharp as broken glass. "I'm Vanessa. I suppose you were bound to find out eventually." Mara's voice came out strangled. "Where is he?" "Daniel." Vanessa called over her shoulder, not breaking eye contact with Mara. "Your wife is here." The sound of footsteps. Then Daniel appeared, his hair disheveled, his face draining of color as he saw Mara standing in the hallway. He'd been buttoning his pants. The sight of it, so casual, so domestic, so intimate, drove a spike through Mara's heart. "Mara." Daniel's voice cracked. "This isn't, I can explain. How long?" Mara's question cut through his stammering like a blade. Vanessa leaned against the doorframe, a cat who'd caught the canary. 2 years, she supplied helpfully. Since that conference in Chicago. "You remember that trip, don't you, Daniel? The one where you told Mara you were too busy to call?" 2 years. The number echoed in Mara's skull. 2 years of lies. 2 years of sleeping beside a stranger. 2 years of making love to a man who was thinking of someone else. The revelation that broke her. "Are you going to say something?" Mara whispered, her eyes locked on Daniel's guilty face. "Are you going to tell me this is a mistake? That it meant nothing?" Daniel opened his mouth, closed it. He looked at Vanessa, then back at Mara. The silence stretched, suffocating and damning. Then Vanessa laughed. The sound was crystalline, cruel. Oh, sweetie, did you really think you were enough for him? You, with your book club and your casseroles? Daniel needs passion, excitement. He needs a woman, not a desperate housewife playing pretend. Mara's hand flew up. The slap connected with Vanessa's cheek with a crack that echoed down the hallway. The red-haired woman stumbled back, her hand flying to her face, shock replacing smugness. Mara, stop. Daniel grabbed her arm, pulling her back. She wrenched away from him, her eyes blazing with tears and fury. Don't touch me. Don't you ever touch me again. Let me explain. Explain what? Mara's voice rose, echoing off the hotel walls. Explain how you've been screwing her for 2 years while I waited at home like a fool? Explain how every I love you was a lie? Explain how you looked me in the eyes this morning and... Her voice broke. She couldn't finish. The tears came then, hot and furious, streaming down her face. She hated them. Hated that he could still make her cry. The promise of retribution. Daniel reached for her again. Mara, please. I never meant to hurt you. It just happened. Nothing just happens for 2 years, Daniel. Mara wiped her eyes, her voice steadying into something cold and dangerous. You made a choice. Every day, every lie, every time you came home smelling like her perfume, you chose this. She looked between them, the man she'd loved and the woman who'd stolen him. They stood together in the doorway of that hotel room, a united front against her. In that moment, something inside Mara died. The soft, forgiving part of her, the part that believed in second chances and the power of love. In its place, something else was born. Something harder, sharper. Something that whispered in the dark corners of her mind, make them pay. I want a divorce, Mara said, her voice eerily calm now. You can have each other. You can have your passion and your excitement and your lies. Daniel's face crumpled with relief. Mara, thank you for understanding. But Daniel? She turned back, her smile not reaching her eyes. I'm going to destroy you first. The color drained from his face. What? Mara stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper that somehow felt louder than a scream. You don't know me at all, do you? You never asked about my work, never cared that I spent the last 5 years building my father's company while you played house with your mistress. You never wondered where the money for our lifestyle came from. Understanding dawned in Daniel's eyes, followed quickly by fear. I control the board, Daniel. I control your job. I control everything you think is yours. Mara's smile was razor sharp now, and I'm going to watch you lose it all. Vanessa's smugness had evaporated. You can't. Watch me. Mara turned and walked away, her head held high, her heart shattered but her resolve diamond hard. Behind her, she heard Daniel calling her name, panic replacing his earlier guilt. She didn't turn back. In the elevator, alone, Mara finally allowed herself to collapse against the wall. The tears came again, but this time they were different. These weren't tears of heartbreak alone. They were tears of rage. And rage, Mara was learning, could be a very powerful weapon. The phone in her pocket buzzed. A new message from an unknown number. I can help you make them suffer. If you're interested, meet me at Café Noir tomorrow at 3 p.m. Come alone. And Mara stared at the message, her mind racing. Who was M? How did they know what had just happened? Should she be afraid? Should she ignore it? Or should she walk straight into the unknown if it meant revenge? Her finger hovered over the delete button for a long moment. Then she replied, I'll be there. Heartbreak and revenge. The mysterious meeting. Café Noir sat in the corner of downtown Seattle, a hole-in-the-wall place that served overpriced espresso to artists and outcasts. Mara had never been here before. She sat at a corner table, her hands wrapped around a cup of black coffee she couldn't bring herself to drink. The clock on the wall read 2058 p.m. She'd barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Daniel's face, heard Vanessa's cruel laughter. The hotel room sheets tangled in her mind with their wedding photos, creating a collage of betrayal that played on repeat. This morning, she'd called in sick to work. The first time in 5 years. She'd sat in her empty house, the silence oppressive, and considered her options. She could file for divorce quietly, walk away with her dignity intact. She could expose them publicly, let the scandal ruin Daniel's reputation. Or she could meet this mysterious M and see what they had to offer. At exactly 3 p.m., the cafe door chimed. A woman walked in, and Mara's breath caught. She was striking in an unconventional way. Silver hair cut in a sharp bob, eyes hidden behind designer sunglasses, dressed in a black suit that screamed money and power. She moved like a predator, purposeful and confident. The woman slid into the seat across from Mara without asking, removing her sunglasses to reveal eyes the color of steel. Mara Sinclair, thank you for coming. Who are you? Mara's voice was steadier than she felt. My name is Miranda Cross. I'm a specialist. The woman's smile was knowing. I help people like you. People like me. People who've been wronged. People who want justice. Miranda leaned forward. People who want revenge. The offer. Mara's hands tightened around her coffee cup. How did you know about... Vanessa Monroe isn't just your husband's mistress, Mara. She's a professional. Miranda pulled out a tablet, sliding it across the table. She targets successful men, seduces them, then waits for the right moment to strike, usually through blackmail or by positioning herself as the other woman in a lucrative divorce. The tablet screen showed a dossier, photos of Vanessa with different men, news articles about messy divorces, financial records showing suspicious transactions. Mara's stomach churned. Daniel's not her first? He's number 7. She's made over $3 million in the last decade. Miranda's voice was matter-of-fact. Your husband is just another mark. And you're the obstacle she needs to eliminate. Why are you telling me this? Mara looked up from the tablet, suspicious. What do you want? Vanessa ruined someone I loved. Miranda's expression hardened. My brother. He was mark number 4. The divorce destroyed him financially and emotionally. 6 months after it was finalized, he killed himself. The words hung in the air, heavy and terrible. I'm sorry, Mara whispered. Don't be sorry. Help me destroy her. Miranda's eyes blazed with barely contained fury. I've spent 3 years gathering evidence, tracking her patterns. I know her methods, her contacts, her weaknesses. But I need someone on the inside, someone she thinks she's already beaten. What are you proposing? A partnership. You give me access to Daniel's world, his computer, his phone records, his financial information. I use it to build a case against both of them. Not just for adultery, Mara, for fraud, blackmail, possibly even conspiracy. Mara's mind raced. This was beyond a simple divorce. This was war. Why me? Why not just give this evidence to the police? Miranda smiled grimly, because the legal system is slow and imperfect. Men like Daniel have lawyers. Women like Vanessa have learned how to game the system. They'll walk away with a slap on the wrist while you're left picking up the pieces. And your way? My way ensures they lose everything. Money, reputation, freedom. Everything they stole from us. Miranda leaned back. But I need to know you're committed. This isn't just about divorce settlements and property division. This is about complete and total destruction. The decision. Mara stared at the tablet, at the faces of men who'd been destroyed by Vanessa's schemes. She thought about Daniel's betrayal, about 2 years of lies, about the future she'd imagined crumbling to dust. She thought about the woman she'd been yesterday, naive, trusting, soft. She didn't want to be that woman anymore. "What do I need to do?" Mara asked. Miranda's smile was sharp. "First, you go home. You act devastated but forgiving. You tell Daniel you want to work things out, that you'll go to counseling, whatever he needs to hear. You want me to forgive him?" Mara's voice rose in disbelief. "I want you to make him think you've forgiven him. Make him comfortable. Make him sloppy." Miranda pulled out a small device, no bigger than a button. This is a sophisticated recording device. "Plant it in his office. We need proof of their conversations, their plans. He'll see me doing it. Not if you're smart. Cry. Make a scene. While he's comforting you, distracted by your emotions, you plant the device." Men like Daniel think tears are weakness. They don't see the strategy behind them. Mara took the device, its weight impossibly light in her palm. What if he's already called a lawyer? He hasn't. I've been monitoring his communications since yesterday. He's in panic mode, but Vanessa is calming him down. She's telling him you'll eventually accept it, that you're too soft to fight back. Miranda's eyes glittered. "We're going to prove her very wrong. When do we start?" "Tonight. There's a charity gala at the Emerald Tower. Daniel's company is hosting it. Vanessa will be there. She always shows up to events where her targets are present, playing the role of mysterious seductress." Miranda stood, preparing to leave. "You're going to that gala, Mara, and you're going to play the role of heartbroken wife seeking answers. He won't expect me to show up." "Exactly. We need him off balance. We need both of them to make mistakes." Miranda paused at the door, looking back. "One more thing. Don't tell anyone about this. Not your friends, not your family. Trust no one. Vanessa has connections everywhere." As Miranda left, Mara sat alone with the recording device and a dossier full of evidence. She thought about the woman she'd been, the woman who'd believed in love and happy endings. That woman was gone. In her place was someone new, someone who understood that sometimes love wasn't enough. Sometimes you had to fight back. The gala. The Emerald Tower Ballroom was stunning. All crystal chandeliers and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Seattle skyline. Mara had spent an hour getting ready, choosing a dress that walked the line between elegant and dangerous, deep crimson silk that hugged her curves, diamonds at her throat that caught the light. She'd cried while doing her makeup, real tears which she'd used to her advantage, making her eyes look vulnerable and wounded, the perfect disguise for the rage burning beneath her skin. Daniel stood near the bar, surrounded by colleagues. He hadn't seen her yet. Mara watched him from across the room, studying the man she'd married. He looked stressed, his smile too tight, his laughter too forced. Good, let him suffer. Then she saw Vanessa. The red-haired woman wore emerald green, a deliberate choice to match the venue, to appear as if she belonged. She worked the room like a professional, charming executives and their wives with equal ease. Mara's grip on her clutch tightened. Inside was the recording device Miranda had given her. "Mara?" Daniel's voice came from behind her, shocked. "What are you doing here?" She turned slowly, letting him see the tears in her eyes. "I needed to talk to you. I've been thinking about everything, and her voice broke convincingly. I don't want to lose you, Daniel." His face cycled through confusion, relief, and something that might have been guilt. "Here? Now?" I didn't know where else to go. You won't return my calls. Mara stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. Please, can we talk? Somewhere private? Daniel glanced around, clearly uncomfortable with the scene she was making. My office. Upstairs. 5 minutes. Perfect. The plant. Daniel's office was on the 15th floor, a corner suite with a view that had once made Mara proud. Now it just felt like a cage lined with lies. Daniel closed the door, running a hand through his hair. Mara, I don't know what you want me to say. Tell me it wasn't real. She let the tears flow freely now. Tell me it was just a mistake, a moment of weakness. Tell me we can fix this. Daniel hesitated, and Mara saw it. The moment where he considered lying again, where he weighed his options. It's complicated. Complicated? She moved toward him, her steps calculated. We're married, Daniel. We made vows. How is that complicated? You don't understand. Vanessa, she gets me in ways. Mara slapped him. Hard. The crack echoed in the quiet office. Daniel staggered back, his hand flying to his reddening cheek. Mara, don't you dare. Her voice was ice. Don't you dare tell me about how another woman understands you when I've spent 7 years trying to build a life with you. She turned away, wrapping her arms around herself, sobbing. It was performance, but it was also real. The pain was real. The betrayal was real. And while Daniel stood frozen, unsure whether to comfort her or defend himself, Mara's hand slipped into her clutch. She withdrew the recording device, palming it like a magician. When she stumbled toward his desk, bracing herself against it as if overcome by emotion, she pressed the device underneath the drawer's lip. Click, so soft he'd never hear it. Mara, please. Daniel moved toward her cautiously. I never wanted to hurt you. It just happened. Vanessa and I, we connected. Connected. Mara laughed bitterly, wiping her eyes. That's what you call it? I don't expect you to understand. But maybe, with time you could. Forgive you? She looked up at him, her expression carefully broken. I don't know if I can, but I want to try. I want to fight for us. Relief flooded Daniel's face. Really? I need time. I need space. But I don't want to throw away 7 years without at least trying. Mara moved toward the door. I'll stay at a hotel for a few days. Give us both time to think. Mara, wait. She left without looking back, her heels clicking against the marble floor. In the elevator, alone, she allowed herself a small, cold smile. The device was planted. Miranda would have everything she needed. Let the games begin. The phone in her pocket buzzed. A message from Miranda. Good work. Now comes the hard part. Are you ready to become someone they'll never expect? Mara stared at her reflection in the elevator's mirrored walls. The woman looking back was a stranger, harder, colder, more dangerous. Yes, she typed back. I'm ready. The ultimate payback. The evidence mounts. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of Mara playing the role of devastated wife considering reconciliation. 3 weeks of carefully orchestrated encounters where she appeared weak, broken, desperate to save her marriage. 3 weeks of Daniel and Vanessa growing comfortable, confident that Mara was too soft to be a real threat. They had no idea they were digging their own graves. Mara sat in Miranda's office, a sleek downtown space that reeked of money and power. Between them lay 3 years of Miranda's research, combined with 3 weeks of recordings from Daniel's office. Listen to this one. Miranda pressed play on her laptop. Vanessa's voice filled the room, dripping with contempt. She actually thinks you're going to take her back. God, Daniel, your wife is pathetic. But let her think there's hope. The longer she waits to file, the more time we have to move assets. Daniel's response made Mara's blood boil. She's always been naive. It's part of what I loved about her once. Now it's just sad. Their laughter made Mara want to scream. There's more. Miranda skipped ahead. This one's from 2 days ago. Vanessa's voice again. Have you started moving money to the offshore accounts I set up? We need everything transferred before she gets suspicious. Once the divorce is final, she'll get whatever scraps the lawyers leave behind. I've moved about $300K so far, but Mara handles most of the company finances. If she notices, she won't. Women like her don't pay attention to details. They're too busy playing house. Mara's hands clenched into fists. $300,000. Her money. Money from the company her father had built and left to her. That's embezzlement, Miranda said quietly. Combined with the fraud, the pattern of exploitation with her previous targets, and the evidence of conspiracy. We have them. What's the plan? Mara asked, her voice steady despite the fury churning in her gut. Miranda smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. We destroy them. Publicly, financially, and legally. We make sure they never hurt anyone again. The setup, the annual Sinclair Corporation Gala, was in 2 days, an event Mara had been planning for months. 500 guests, investors, board members, media. It was supposed to be a celebration of the company's record profits. Instead, it would be a funeral. I've arranged for federal investigators to be present, Miranda explained, spreading documents across her desk. They'll arrest Daniel and Vanessa on charges of embezzlement, fraud, and conspiracy. But we're not stopping there. She pulled up a presentation on her laptop. You're going to give a speech. Before the arrests, before the scandal breaks. You're going to tell everyone exactly who Daniel Sinclair is. Mara's heart raced. In front of everyone? In front of everyone. You control the company, Mara. You control the narrative. We're going to make sure that when this story breaks, the public knows the truth. That you're not a victim. You're a survivor. And that you're taking back what's yours. What about Vanessa's other victims? The men she destroyed? Miranda's expression softened. I've contacted all of them. 4 have agreed to come forward with their stories. They'll be at the gala, ready to give statements to the authorities and the press. Mara felt tears prick her eyes, not from sadness, but from a fierce, righteous anger. He has no idea what's coming. None of them do. That's the point. Miranda closed her laptop. But Mara, once we do this, there's no going back. This will be public, messy, and brutal. Are you absolutely sure? Mara thought about the woman she'd been a month ago, the woman who'd believed in love and loyalty, the woman who'd been shattered by betrayal. That woman was dead. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. The night of reckoning, the Sinclair Corporation Gala was magnificent. Mara had spared no expense. Crystal chandeliers, ice sculptures, a live orchestra. The ballroom glittered with Seattle's elite, everyone dressed in their finest champagne flowing like water. Daniel stood near the entrance, playing the role of devoted husband. He'd actually had the audacity to ask Mara if they could arrive together, present a united front. She'd agreed, smiling sweetly while imagining the look on his face when everything fell apart. Vanessa was there too, playing the role of random guest, but Mara caught her exchanging heated glances with Daniel when they thought no one was watching. Fools. At 8 p.m., Mara took the stage. The room quieted, hundreds of faces turning toward her expectantly. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to celebrate another successful year for Sinclair Corporation. Her voice was clear, confident. My father built this company from nothing. He believed in integrity, honesty, and loyalty. He taught me that success means nothing if you achieve it through lies. She paused, her eyes finding Daniel in the crowd. He looked confused, sensing something wrong, but not understanding what. Tonight, I want to share a story with you. A story about betrayal, about greed, and about the danger of trusting the wrong people. The revelation. The lights dimmed. A screen descended behind Mara. The first image appeared. Daniel and Vanessa caught by a private investigator's camera, locked in an embrace outside the Riverside Hotel. Gasps echoed through the ballroom. Daniel's face went white. "This is my husband, Daniel Sinclair," Mara continued, her voice never wavering. "And this is Vanessa Monroe, a woman who's made millions by seducing married men and destroying their families." More images appeared. Bank statements showing the transferred funds, emails between Daniel and Vanessa discussing their plans, text messages mocking Mara's naivete. Over the past 3 weeks, working with federal investigators, we've uncovered evidence of embezzlement, fraud, and a pattern of criminal behavior spanning a decade. Vanessa bolted for the door. She didn't make it 3 steps before 2 federal agents in plain clothes intercepted her, badges flashing. "Vanessa Monroe, you're under arrest for fraud, conspiracy, and extortion." The room erupted in chaos. Cameras flashed. Guests pulled out phones, recording everything. Daniel tried to run, but more agents were waiting. They grabbed him, spinning him around to cuff his hands behind his back. "Daniel Sinclair, you're under arrest for embezzlement and conspiracy to commit fraud." Mara watched from the stage as they read him his rights. His eyes found hers across the chaos, filled with shock, betrayal, and finally, understanding. She smiled, not with joy, but with cold satisfaction. The aftermath. The media went insane. Within hours, the story was everywhere. Billionaire heiress exposes husband's affair and fraud ring. Mara gave a single interview to a major news network, carefully chosen with Miranda's help. She sat in the studio, poised and powerful in a white suit, the color of innocence and new beginnings. "Mrs. Sinclair, how did you feel when you discovered your husband's betrayal?" "Devastated," Mara answered honestly. "But I realized something important. I had a choice. I could be destroyed by what happened, or I could fight back. I chose to fight. And the other victims, the men Vanessa Monroe exploited, they've shown incredible courage coming forward. For years, they were too ashamed to speak up. Society tells men they should feel lucky to be desired, even when that desire is predatory. But exploitation is exploitation, regardless of gender. These men deserve justice too." The interviewer leaned forward. "What would you say to other people going through betrayal right now?" Mara looked directly into the camera, speaking to everyone who'd ever felt powerless, defeated, broken. "You're stronger than you think. You don't have to accept being treated poorly. You don't have to forgive people who've hurt you, just because society expects it. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away and take back your power." 6 months later, the courtroom was packed for the sentencing. Mara sat in the front row, flanked by Miranda and her lawyer. Daniel and Vanessa stood before the judge, their expensive lawyers having failed to secure them a plea deal. The judge was a stern woman in her 60s, reading from her notes with cold authority. "Mr. Sinclair, Miss Monroe, you've been found guilty on multiple counts of fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. Your actions have destroyed families, ruined lives, and violated the trust of everyone who believed in you." She paused, her gaze sweeping over them with contempt. "Daniel Sinclair, you are sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. Vanessa Monroe, given your extensive criminal history and the calculated nature of your crimes, you are sentenced to 15 years. Vanessa gasped. Daniel's legs buckled, and guards had to hold him upright. The judge wasn't finished. Additionally, all assets acquired through your fraudulent activities are to be seized and distributed among your victims. You will both be required to pay full restitution. The gavel fell. Bang. It was over. As they led Daniel and Vanessa away in handcuffs, Daniel twisted around, his eyes finding Mara one last time. "I'm sorry," he mouthed, tears streaming down his face. Mara looked at him, really looked at him, and felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no lingering love or regret, just peace. She stood, smoothing her dress, and walked out of the courtroom without looking back. Outside, Miranda was waiting. "How do you feel?" "Free," Mara answered. And she meant it. A new beginning. 1 year after the gala, Mara stood on the balcony of her new penthouse apartment overlooking Elliott Bay. The sunset painted the sky in shades of gold and crimson, beautiful and new. Sinclair Corporation had not only survived the scandal, it had thrived. With Daniel's toxic influence removed, the company had grown 20%. Mara had implemented new policies, hired diverse leadership, and created a foundation to help survivors of domestic betrayal get back on their feet. Her phone rang. She smiled when she saw the caller ID, Miranda. "Hey, how's the book coming?" Miranda's book, The Art of Strategic Revenge, was due out next month. It detailed Vanessa's schemes and offered advice for people seeking justice against those who'd wronged them. Publishers say it'll be a bestseller. We might need to do a book tour. Miranda paused. "Have you thought about writing your story?" "Maybe someday." Mara watched a ferry cross the bay, its lights twinkling in the gathering dusk. "Right now, I'm just focused on living." "Good. You deserve happiness, Mara. You fought for it." After they hung up, Mara poured herself a glass of wine. She thought about the woman she'd been, the naive, trusting wife who'd believed love was enough. She didn't regret losing that woman. That woman had been living a lie. The woman she was now, she was real. Scarred, certainly. Changed, absolutely. But stronger, wiser, unbreakable. Her phone buzzed with a notification. A dating app she'd reluctantly downloaded had a new match. She laughed, almost deleting it. Then she paused, reading the message. "Your profile says you believe in second chances but not second betrayals. I like a woman who knows her worth. Coffee sometime?" Mara stared at the message for a long moment. Part of her wanted to delete it, to stay safely alone, protected behind walls of her own making. But another part, the part that had survived hell and come out stronger, whispered, "What if?" She typed back, "Coffee sounds nice. But fair warning, I don't trust easily anymore." The response came quickly. "Good. Neither do I." "Maybe that's something we have in common." Mara smiled, a real smile, soft and genuine and full of possibility. Revenge had been satisfying. Justice had been necessary. But healing? That was the real victory. And maybe, just maybe, she was ready to start believing in love again. Not the naive love she'd known before, but something wiser, something earned, something real. She raised her glass to the setting sun, to new beginnings, to the strength she'd found in darkness, to second chances, she whispered. And somewhere in the universe, she felt her father smile. The end.